What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the debut EP by Canadian rapper Tory Lanez. Basically, this product is called Cruel Intentions, and it came out in the summer of 2015. So the thing about this particular product here is just knowing a little bit more about Tory Lanez as far as this pitch going to happen. Was not terribly familiar with him apart from like the occasional hook I heard him do for like some rappers in the past as far as this was going to happen. I know he went to prison recently for shooting Megan Thee Stallion, or just the drama between that particular affair as far as this pitch can happen. It's kind of offhanded with that, but particularly he got like a lengthy prison sentence, so it would be definitely nice to get him out of prison a little bit earlier as far as this affair is going to happen. Because just the product of this, I had the factor with him thinking that he was a dope type cat in the past as far as this affair is going to happen, but just listening to this particular product, this is a blockade of a juggernaut here, and especially for an EP, it's just me thinking of the last time I can think of the concept of giving like an EP a full bound 10 out of 10, just enjoying every song. Now I realize within the pitch that EPs are kind of shorter, usually only about 5 to 9 songs, somewhere within that, but all 5 of these songs I recommend on here just within the excellence of it. Usually that's within folks like, I want to say I gave like Jeffree Star a couple of his EPs like 10s out of 10, but it's kind of sometimes within certain passions it doesn't always happen within the pitch behind it. But this is some excellent here to kind of get. This is kind of the concept as Tory Lanez started to flesh out and get the album type figure. Now he had been dropping projects as far back as like the early 2010s as far as this pitch can happen. Just his particular style within the aspect behind it is very similar to like other Canadian R&B musicians like Drake and The Weeknd, but he's also pretty similar to like Bryson Tiller as well. This was kind of like the meld of what was going on with R&B in like the mid 2010s. Thinking of projects by Drake, like nothing was the same when you think of some of those type ones like Worst Behavior and some of those type pitches and some of those type of songs that Bryson Tiller kind of did on like his 2015 album. I forget what that one's called, but I do actually own that particular Bryson Tiller album from late 2015 that he dropped. It's some, yeah, basically being called trap soul within that particular pitch behind him, but just a good meld and combination and fusion of folks like Bryson Tiller, The Weeknd, and Drake, some of those particular type fairs. So it's just a good conduct to that. This is a very trendy type product. I definitely feel like Tory Lanez was another type cat that helped meld out R&B throughout the 2010s, just within the concept of like Spotify era, some of those type fairs. The Weeknd definitely took the helm for that. Drake definitely did. Frank Ocean definitely did. Tinashe definitely did. And Tory Lanez is another one, just looking within the aspect. I can just tell behind the pitch behind some of this that this is the sort of stuff that helped put down like train tracks, and just the aspect of this melding out like the concepts of getting towards more conditional kind of just R&B within the Spotify type sense, just for a lot of these ambient type ones. Just really did it real swift, just as an aspect of how it nailed this particular style. Is just the aspect behind this, just interesting that this would be such a blockaded kind of classic, just in the aspect. It's excellent type fair that this would be such a blockaded type classic, just within the appeal behind it. Makes me question some of his early 2010s mixtape start as far as some of those fairs going to happen if he had as vicious quality as on this particular one. It's kind of within the pitch. I do remember mildly like the Chicks tape that had like Ashanti on the album cover as far as those pitches going to happen. I remember that, and T-Pain helped throw that together, some pitches like that. But it's just within the aspect as far as saying, so just getting like a good concept. It's basically like the same conduct, just a little bit younger version of Drake as far as those aspects can happen. So it's the same type tone behind that. Basically, I would say if Drake's kind of on bad terms with you right now, just with like going on with like the Drake and Kendrick beef, some of that particular type fair, I would definitely say Tory Lanez is a pretty excellent type aspect as an alternative, but just within the pitch as far as saying that he is in like a lengthy prison sentence. So maybe he can get out and we'll get to some more, he can definitely get to some more vicious type records like this. But there were at least 2 singles off this project here. Just being able to simply say that I do recommend every song on here. So once again, this EP is going to get a 10 out of 10, but In For It's like the first single off these pitches here. These are at least promotional singles. I don't know if these songs charted, but it's just within the pitch that these are some big type appeals. Tory Lanez was larger in Canada more so than he was in the United States, but he did start to blow up later on as far as those fairs going to happen. Just a little bit earlier in his stages as he was starting to break into like the mainstream, kind of similar to like The Weeknd in 2015 and folks like that, Bryson Tiller, some of those type folks. But In For It's like a blurry kind of hella quick get tore up evening glamour to kind of get here, and like a syrupy kind of R&B flair. I definitely feel like about this one, just it's like a pretty good R&B alternative to kind of get within some of those type pitches. Just a good concept if you do miss like the Drake from like his Nothing, or if you're reading this is too late, Nothing was the same day as some of those type pitches. Just as an aspect, his primary Drake from like the mid 2010s is smack dab in like some of his crest of appeal, some of those type records that he was just effortlessly kind of putting out some of those type pitches. It's a good aspect for some of that type pitch behind it. There's a lot of songs like Worst Behavior and some of those type ones. There's some other Lumion type ones like 305 to My City. Me trying to think of some of those type ones from Nothing was the same. Some of those aspects that just had some of that type feel come through. Some of those type pitches, just same sort of tone behind that. Basically like getting trap soul, just the concept. When I think of the Bryson Tiller 2015 album Trap Soul, just the pitch behind getting trap music. This was like a new melded kind of R&B touch sense, like a Spotify sense. So it just had that particular trendy aspect about it. But In For It's definitely a glare type one. pretty blurry type stuff as well. So it kind of also blends a little bit of ratchet music in there as well, just the pitch, just ratchet type music without DJ Mustard, just full bound within the pitch behind him, is just the aspect as far as getting some of those, is those blurry kind of ones, just complete quick times, just with an aspect of like some vicious kind of Thursday, Friday, Saturday type fare within the pitch behind it, I definitely say. But Acting Like is the second single, and this is like a powerhouse kind of step out, I'd have to say, just some ratchet R&B glamour to kind of get definitely within those pitches. It's like a nice minty kind of Friday embrace, I'd have to say, in like a suave sense. This is kind of the concept. Nice R&B tenor about some of these particular factors as far as this pitch kind of go. Just good concept here. I would say Acting Like feels like something Drake would kind of do in like early 2010s type fashion, just within the pitch. Something like from the Take Care or Thank Me Later type days, just within like a little bit more of like the Spotify era type pitch was between it. So it definitely feels like Take Care. Acting Like definitely feels like Young Money and Take Care era Drake as far as those first gonna happen. Just a powerhouse type one. This feels like something kind of trying to think of like, kind of feels like that powerhouse type aspect of something like Money to Blow with just a good backing, just something Young Money type era within the pitch behind, but just in a more kind of Spotify type. It's within like a spot, just a more Spotify type 10 as far as those flares can have. So it's good type of feel. Nice, glamorous, kind of minty brush about some of these type of songs here. A lot of this is pretty winter bound. You can tell by the album cover just within the pitch that this feels more of like February and December type weather pitches like that. Some good aspects there to be able to get some of that. This is some suave stuff as well. Good type pitch for Chicas and Bell as far as those flares going to happen. Honda Civic's a nice one. Then this one definitely reminds me of Bryson Tiller here. I'd have to say it's like a meandering kind of typical winter Monday, Tuesday brush kind of get within some of those type tones. This feels like Drake and like the day shift kind of out as far as those pitch kind of have. So it's just a little bit more workaday type one, just in the pitch, just standard target push, just within some of those aspects, just getting like some stuff, getting like toothbrushes, toothpaste, some of those standard type pitches just within it, hand soap, some of those type of feels just in the aspect as far as those particular things kind of go. Just the concept of this standard day brush, just in the aspect of just like routine just within the fair as far as those pitch can go. This works for like some romantic kind of usual fair kind of makeshift push as far as those aspects kind of have. So this is like the most workaday type one. Not so much soul, not so much kind of more kind of romantic, not so much rousing kind of soul, or just the aspect of like more kind of broodiness, like a Spotify kind of Friday type fare, just something like with some step out, like in for it and acting like, but just kind of in for it and acting like, but just kind of the concept of like Monday, Tuesday type music and like a more makeshift type fare. So it works for that good type tone. Fallback is a nice one. This is definitely a Spotify era type hit, just within those pitches, like a brooding kind of Spotify era stream ambience kind of get here to some trendy kind of R&B malaise. I definitely feel like for 2010s, this is definitely some trendy kind of R&B malaise for the 2010s, I would have to say here. And this is just like Bryson and Drake, some of those type pitches. So this is a really murky type one. Just feels like something Drake would have done off of Nothing Was the Same. Some of those type pitches, Bryson off of Trap Soul, some of those particular type fares behind it. It's real nice brooding type one. Really feels like some songs like Worst Behavior and some of those more moody type ones come through. It really feels like songs like Worst Behavior and Connect, some of those type ones by Drake off of Nothing Was the Same, some of those type pitches. Real murky type one. The Spotify classic, I'd have to say here. The Nina's a nice one as well. It's like a slugged out kind of head trip, kind of R&B, hookah and lounge, and kind of smoke a few type to get within those aspects. To get great song to smoke several within the pitch of just like some Spotify kind of ambience. Definitely some Spotify stream ambience to say, like I was saying, good pitch behind that. And it's just overall lit song. So this is a good fashion for like some lounge and balcony type music, just an aspect like some winter type fare just to the pitch, something that you'd listen. You'd basically have Drake and Bryson Tiller on the weekend, some of those type folks that just like some good social gathering type pitch behind it, just in a more kind of rousing kind of R&B type sense. So it just really feels like a head trip type song. It's interesting, get some head trip kind of R&B, just the concept of really being kind of blitzed out of your mind a little bit, just in the fashion, but just also in a smoother type sense for as fair is going to go. Definite good penthouse type music, some of that stuff the weekend would kind of do some of those type fares. So it's good aspect just within a little bit more trap type sense compared to the weekend, I'd have to say, with good type of appeal. So that's the concept about this EP here, to be able to say pitches like that. So once again, this product gets a 10 out of 10. The social score I'll probably give like a 9.75 or a 10. I'll probably give this product like a 10 out of 10 just within the pitch, just how effortlessly it kind of nailed these particular vibes behind it. Just a real kind of knockout and just all net that particularly had the aspect is every song on here has some pretty vicious fashion, has a makeshift song on here, has some night venue type appeals, has some romantic and kind of Spotify trendy typeness kind of get within those aspects, does it within a rousing kind of R&B type sense, very trendy, like I was saying. Does that the aspect of like some blitzing kind of just overall smooth package that just nails the particular vibes extremely well. So it's just, I would say 10 out of 10 social. In terms of the future, that's kind of difficult. Now, Tory Lanez has been supposedly working on stuff from prison as far as those first going to happen, just from the aspect. I don't know when his most recent project came out, but it's probably like 2023, 2022, something like that. But with the aspect, hopefully we get some more of these. Easy kind of classic here to be able to get. And I am going to have to get some more of these projects, but this is basically like a pretty banner, especially for R&B and especially for 2010s R&B. That's definitely a headliner in terms of those pitches. Just did some stupendous stuff and just excellent type of appeal.